boys and girls. I'm going to go ahead and go over your math assignment for lesson 04.03, decimal pit stop. You're going to start by going into your math course. You're going to scroll down. We are in module 4, and we're looking at lesson 04.03, decimal pit stop. We'll go into the lesson. You're going to want to make sure you go through all 5 pages of this lesson. This lesson does a great job showing examples of how to solve these multiplication problems. We're going to be looking at multiplying a decimal by a whole number, and it goes through step by step of how to use the models to show your work. And in your assignment, you're also going to have to use the models to show your work. So like I said, it's going to be very important for you to go through the lesson, go through all the different examples, because it shows you exactly how to solve these multiplication problems using the models. And we're looking at multiplying decimals by whole numbers. So please make sure you go through all the examples, especially on page 2 and page 3 of the lesson. You can click through by clicking through the arrows. Buzz does a great job going over examples. That even gives you 8 try it problems, so you can try it and make sure that you're doing it correct by even checking your answers. So like I said, Buzz does an awesome job providing examples of how to complete your assignment. When you get to the end of your lesson on page 5, you'll come across your decimal pit stop worksheet. It's a 1-page worksheet, so I'm going to open that up. It's got 4 problems on it. Notice each of the problems are multiplication problems where you are multiplying a decimal by a whole number. 4/10 times 7, 2/10 times 9, 13/100 times 4, 64/100 times 3. You must use these models to solve these problems. If you just provide an answer here, then it's going to be marked wrong. You have to use these models to show your work. In Buzz, it does an awesome job showing you how to use these models. And I'm also going to show you now by doing a couple of these problems as a model for you. So I'm going to start by looking at number 1. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot number 1 so I can use my drawing tool. Remember, we're using these models to show our work to get full credit. So let me open these up. Okay, so your first problem is 4/10 times 7. So in Buzz, what you will learn that in order to solve a multiplication problem that involves a decimal times a whole number, like this one, 4/10 would be our decimal, times 7, which is our whole number, we can represent this problem and solve it using our area models here. So to start off, we know that multiplication is repeated addition. So really what I could do here is 4/10 plus 4/10 plus 4/10 plus 4/10 plus 4/10. I could add 4/10 7 times and get the answer, because repeated addition is multiplication. Multiplication is repeated addition. So what we're going to do here is we're going to represent repeated addition in this model. So I'm going to start by coloring in 4/10. So remember, when we've looked at these models before, each stick represents 1/10. So I'm going to shade in 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my shading's not perfect because I'm using a mouse on my computer, so it's a little messy, but if you have yours printed out or draw yours out, it'll be a lot easier for you to shade them in. So there is my first group of 4/10 in red. We need, and I can even label that, 4/10. We need 7 groups. There's our first group. So let's choose a different color. And it might be smart for you to use different colors as well. So if you have crayons or colored pencils, or even if you just use like a darker shade of your pencil and then do a lighter shade by not pressing down on your pencil as hard, that could even work. So if you don't have crayons or colored pencils, just try to use different shades of your crayon or your pencil by changing the amount of pressure you use. We need another group of 4/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another 4/10. So there's 2 groups of 4/10. We need 7 because we're doing 4/10 times 7. So 7 groups of 4/10. Okay, I'm going to just rotate my colors. So I'm going to go back to red. You could even do that too. So 1, 2, I only have 2 left in this big box. That's okay. Go to your next box. 3, 4. There's another 4/10. Okay, switch my color back. So there's 3 groups of 4/10. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another group of 4/10. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 3 more. Go back to red. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I'm doing is I'm making groups of 4/10, and I'm using my whole number to make that many groups. I have 7 wholes, so I'm making 7 groups of 4/10. That's what I'm multiplying 4/10 by, is 7. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I need 2 more. So I'm going to go back to blue. 4 more tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/10, and I need 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's make sure I've got 7 groups of 4/10. Okay, I've got 1. Let me choose a different color here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 4/10. Now when you see, okay, well, what is that total? How many is that in total? Well, I have this one whole big box shaded in, so that represents 1 whole. Plus, this whole box is shaded in, so that's another 1 whole. Plus, then how many tenths do I have shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 tenths shaded in. 8 tenths is written as 0.8. Okay, then add all these together. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 0.8. So 4/10 times 7 is 2 8/10. So then I can write my answer, 2 8/10. Okay, so that's number 1. All you're doing is you're shading in your groups of your decimal by looking at your whole number. That's how many groups of your decimal you need to have. So that's number 1 for you. You're going to do the same type of thing for number 2. Number 2, you're just doing 2/10 times 9. So 2/10 plus 2/10 plus 2/10, you're going to make 9 groups of 2/10. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 is where it gets a little bit different. Number 3, we're looking at hundredths, and you'll notice that your whole is now broken up into 100 little pieces. That's because we're now dealing with hundredths. 13 hundredths times 4. So let me go ahead and screenshot number 3. That bigger? Okay. So 13 hundredths times 4. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to now focus on our hundredths and shading in 13 hundredths 4 times. So I know that each stick now has 10 little squares in it. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10, 11, 12, 13. So there is my first group of 13, because remember, we've got 13/10 times 4. So let me make this a little bit darker so that you can see it. Oops. Like I said, it's gonna be a lot easier. Let me see if the highlighting would work. It's gonna be a lot easier for you to have it shaded in if you have a crayon or a colored pencil or even a marker or even a pencil and a pen. Okay, so there's 13 hundredths. We need to shade that in 3 more times because we're multiplying it by 4. So 4 groups of 13 hundredths. So now I'm going to start from here. I'm going to start where my 3 ended, and I'm going to continue to count for another 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, there's another group of 13 hundredths. Choose yellow again. We need another group because we need 4 groups of 13 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13. And we need one more group of 13 hundredths. I've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so there is my 4th group of 13 hundredths. So right now I've got 4 groups of 13 hundredths shaded in. Okay, I've got my first yellow 13 hundredths, then blue 13 hundredths, then yellow 13 hundredths, and then blue 13 hundredths again. So now I need to see how much do I have all together? Well, I know that each column has 10. So 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40 hundredths, 50 hundredths, and then 1, 2 up here. So that's 52 hundredths. Hundredths, you got your decimal before there then. Tenths, hundredths, 52 hundredths. So 13 hundredths times 4 is 52 hundredths. Okay? 13 hundredths times 4 is 52 hundredths. And all I did is I did my shading, 4 groups of 13 hundredths, and then I counted them all up. You could easily count all of the squares that are shaded, but I know that each column has 10. So column 1 has 10, column 2 has 10, column 3 has 10, column 4 has 10, column 5 has 10. That's 50, plus my 2 from up top here, 52 hundredths. Okay? You're going to do the same type of problem for number 4, except it'll be 64 hundredths times 3. So you'll do 3 groups of 64 hundredths. When you're done, you'll come back to Buzz. You'll go to your next activity tab. You'll have a blue plus button where you can attach your work. Let me know if you have any questions.